My brother.
Tell me 3 people you'd like to fight next.
3 people. Went out of Kell Brook, Jason Vargas. Went out of Sean Porter, Keith Thurman. Danny Garcia.
Okay, you and Kell Brook, how fast do you knock them out?
I don't know. Maybe in 6 rounds.
Mike, what do you think? 6 rounds or less? I think 3. What do you think?
At the most 7.
What do you think?
I think the other hand, this boy body shots, man, what he delivering. It all depends how long they can take that.
Where'd all the power come from?
Legs, man. Legs.
What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you like the video. Also, subscribe to the channel for all your boxing needs. Now, I got to talk about this because it's something that's been on my mind. And Errol Spence Jr. versus Kell Brook. It's a fight I would definitely love to see. I don't know if it'll happen, but there's a link in the description. The IBF chairman spoke to Ring TV, and they kind of discussed the latest regarding that fight. What they stated is the fight has to be negotiated by the 2 camps. The official date is October 26th, meaning that is the date where they get orders to make a decision. They have 30 days to decide on terms for the fight. If they can't and they're arguing and the 2 camps can't decide, it then goes to a purse bid, right? The only other option or alternate scenario would be, let's say they say, hey, Kell Brook, Eddie Hearn, October 26th, you officially have to start negotiating with Errol Spence Jr. Since Kell Brook, his last fight, just fought at Golovkin's weight of 160, he could then, if he wants to, instead of like wasting people's time, if him and Eddie Hearn say, hey, you know what, when he heals, he has no intentions of fighting at 147 again. He can't make the weight, he doesn't want to fight or whatever, and then Errol Spence Jr. would then fight for a vacant belt. But here's a loophole, if you will. Since Kell Brook was injured in his last fight with Golovkin, we all know this. I mean, it was well documented. You've seen him pawing at his eye and stuff. We all know he got an eye injury. He just had the surgery, I believe, last week. He could get a medical extension through the IBF. If he says like, hey, I'm still undecided and wants to tie things up, he can get that. You know what I mean? Because it's well documented. It's not like he's faking. We all know he got an eye injury in his last fight. So I want to give my thoughts on it. I hope it's the first option rather than the latter. Meaning, if Kell Brook and his team, Eddie Hearn and Dominic Ingle or whatever, if they should know by now what they want to do. If they want, it's been a little bit since the Golovkin fight. Your mandatory has been since the Olympics, when it was the same day when Errol Spence and Leonard Bundu had that fight right after the Olympics and did the 6 million. So it's been a while since that. So they've had time to know who their mandatory was and know what was in store. You knew Errol Spence is your mandatory. I talked to him a while ago. He says he wants the Kell Brook fight, and I just want to see it. So I think Team Brook has had it long enough to debate on if they want the fight or if they're willing to drop back down to 147, because they've said both. They said, oh, I was killing myself to make 147, and then there's an article or interview that came out later on after the Golovkin fight where Kell Brook was like, scratching his head, I might go back down to 147. So hopefully the team has already arrived at a decision, just to not waste anyone's time. Like, I feel bad for Errol Spence Jr. because he's at a point where he's looking like a beast, right? And he's not a #1 seller at the point, you know what I mean? He's still working on his journey, working on his resume. So guys still have some level of excuse. And what I mean by that is he's not bringing in the money. You know what I mean? If you're a guy who brings in the money, people don't really have an excuse to turn you down. But we know how it goes in boxing. People are going to say, oh, this guy can't sell. Look at his resume, things of that. They're going to hold that against you as long as they can. So I feel kind of bad because this is a fight. He shouldn't have to fight for a vacant title. He should be able to fight for the champion. In my opinion, I think Kell Brook is going to vacate the belt. I really strongly believe that because, one, he said he was killing himself to make weight. Plus, he threw caution to the wind in the Golovkin fight, and he was eating up and bulking up and weighing more than Golovkin at his 30-day weigh-in and before. And he was like, oh, I feel so good and strong and hungry. So I just don't see him flexing his body at age 29, 30, whatever age he is, flexing his body and dropping back down to 147. On top of that, you have a young, hungry lion in Errol Spence Jr. down there who, like I said earlier, he's still at a point in his career where you could try to front him off in terms of he's not going to bring you the highest payday. Like, a lot of people want to fight Mayweather because it's like hitting the lottery. You fight Mayweather, you're set, you know what I mean? Because not win, lose, or draw, you have a chance to beat him if you fight him. That's one thing. Two, even if you lose to him, a lot of people don't even consider that a loss because everybody loses to Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, you probably get a career high payday or purse. You know what I mean? Berto, I think he got like 4 million, maybe in some change after it was all said and done with the pay-per-view, right? And that was from fighting Floyd Mayweather. So it's kind of like a win-win situation. But guys like Errol Spence Jr. at this point, it's not. You know what I mean? If Keith Thurman fights this guy with, you know what I mean, his resume is really, the best names on his resume are his last 2 fights. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like his resume is super deep. It's not like he's this cash cow where he's just bringing in 20,000 seats every time he, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. So I don't see Kell Brook wanting that. You know what I mean? I think after the Golovkin fight, getting a taste of that type of event, how big it was, you know what I mean? Good turnout. You got a good payday. I think he's only looking for like the big fights. He's even said that, you know what I mean? I think he's going to go after guys like Canelo, you know what I mean? Because HBO already expressed interest. So why is he going to want to fight this kid who's not going to bring Canelo money and he's equally dangerous style-wise? You know what I mean? Because he's athletic, good body puncher. And it's probably worse to lose to, I told people this, it's probably worse to lose to an Errol Spence Jr. if you're a welterweight. Like, if you dare to be great and lose to Golovkin, it's to be expected. You jumped up 2 weight classes. Even if you lose to Canelo, he rehydrates to 173 plus pounds. And he's a good fighter. And he's at a higher division. So if Kell Brook fought him and went a decision and lost to him a decision, it wouldn't be frowned upon. But if you drop back down to welterweight and you're losing to a welterweight without a resume, like you look at Errol Spence Jr.'s resume versus Canelo. Canelo's been in there with Lada, Amir Khan, Floyd Mayweather, Austin Trout, Miguel Cotto. You know what I mean? He's been in there with names. Errol Spence Jr. doesn't have Miguel Cotto, Mayweather names. Maybe in sparring, he sparred Mayweather, but he doesn't have it on his pro record, which is my point, under the bright lights. So it's going to be worse for a guy like Kell Brook to lose to an Errol Spence Jr. Book it. You know what I mean? If he loses. And I think there is a chance. I mean, Errol Spence is looking like a monster. There's a reason he's getting praised by the Freddie Roaches and the Floyd Mayweathers and stuff like that. So I was under the impression that it was 10 days after the Bundu fight that they had. But according to the IBF chairman, they're saying it's October 26th is the official date. They must start negotiations. So, I mean, hopefully this doesn't get long and drawn out to the point where Kell Brook is undecided, because he's already not coming back in 2016 and nobody's trying to wait all day. So hopefully Kell Brook is, I guess, considerate of the hunger other people have if he knows he doesn't want, if he has no intentions of going back down to 147. He should just make it easy on everybody. Instead of pulling the dagger out slow, just yank it out and make that belt available, because it kind of puts me in the mindset of Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury got a lot going on right now. They said he tested positive for cocaine. He says he's retired, then he's not really retired, things like that. And he last fought Klitschko, which was his last fight in, I believe, November of 2015. So that belt, all those belts have been held hostage by Tyson Fury. He pulled out with the injury and stuff like that. So for a year almost, Klitschko hasn't had a crack at a belt, or no other heavyweight. You know what I mean? The only belt that was released immediately was the IBF, and then Charles Martin fought Glaskov for that belt and won, and then he ended up losing it to Anthony Joshua. But the other belts that Klitschko had that Tyson Fury won have been held hostage, and nobody's had a chance at him. And then now he failed a drug test, so now finally the belts are probably going to get spread out and people get to fight for vacant belts. So I just don't like to see stuff like that. I'd rather see the rightful contenders and the highest ranking people get a shot at a title, preferably by fighting a champion. But in Errol Spence Jr.'s case, it doesn't look like people that are champions really want to fight him. Keith Thurman has said stuff to the effect of he has to do more. Maybe in 2017 or 18 he'll be ready. He has to get a couple more bodies. Danny Garcia kind of fronted him off. You know what I mean? So we don't know. Drop it in the comment section. Let me know if you want to see Kell Brook versus Errol Spence Jr. I think it'll be a great fight. I think it's a really good fight for boxing. I just am skeptical. But again, I have no problem being wrong if it's a pleasant surprise. Like Kell Brook says, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to take his O. You know what I mean? I already lost my O. Errol Spence Jr. I'm going to show you he's not the truth. He's false. I would love that. I would love that. I mean, that would show tremendous stones. I mean, you guys could say whatever. Oh, Kell Brook, he showed a massive amount of heart and stuff. But I'm telling you, I don't know how many other times and other ways I can explain it. Kell Brook losing to Golovkin was more strategic because there was a chance he could possibly beat Golovkin, right? Everyone has a chance. But more importantly, you could say, oh, I stood up to the biggest and baddest middleweight. I jumped up 2 weight divisions. And he held his own for a few rounds. So his stock doesn't really drop from that. Plus, he got a career high payday in that Golovkin fight. And he doesn't really lose fanfare, which is what I told you. That's kind of one of the catches to Daring to Be Great. You notice this, when Amir Khan got knocked out by Bradis Prescott, got knocked out by Danny Garcia, I seen a million memes about Danny Garcia knocking him out. I seen there was like a park bench with doves on it or something, and then it had Khan when he's on the ground from the Danny Garcia fight on the bench and stuff with a bottle, and they made him look like he was a wino and stuff like that. But do you notice when Khan fought Canelo, he got knocked out worse than the Bradis Prescott and the Danny Garcia fight because Canelo was naturally bigger and strong and hit him with the single shot knockout, versus it took multiple punches to knock him out versus those other guys in the smaller divisions. So my point being is, after Canelo knocked him out, even though it was a worse knockout, you didn't really see too many people get on his case because they're like, I'm not going to really kick a man while he's down. He jumped up trying to make the fight. It was a mismatch and stuff like that. But when he was losing to people fair and square that were his size, around his size, or smaller than him, like Danny Garcia and Bradis Prescott, then that's when you see people make fun of it. You notice how that works? So the Daring to Be Great, that's one of the clauses and stipulations that come with it. A lot of people will give you, just in general, give you credit like, oh, you jumped up to fight Golovkin. So it does, you don't really, Kell Brook didn't really lose anything. Career high payday. He got to show his guts and has a better name on his resume. He made Golovkin look vulnerable in spots. So he doesn't really drop. He doesn't really drop in ranking. But I'm telling you, you lose to someone your size, that's different because that's fair game. That's fair and square. It's there's a lot of people that are going to say Kell Brook can beat Errol Spence. So if you come up short, then that's something different. There weren't really many people that I seen that were saying Kell Brook is going to destroy Golovkin and knock him out. I didn't see that. So that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Kell Brook versus Errol Spence Jr. Do you want to see it? Will it happen? Drop that in the comment section. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.